My name's Steve Weber. I've been at Quickbase for over 3.5 years. I'm both the COO and CFO, and hopefully I can give you some perspectives of what I see within regards to gray work. But more importantly, I'm going to pass it over to Molly Boushell, who's a colleague of ours at Quickbase.
Yeah, so happy to be here, Steve. Thanks for having me on to talk a little bit about this new gray work index. As you said, I am a director on our customer success team, but I've actually been a member of the Quickbase team for 6 years. I started here as a customer success manager myself, and now I support a team of CSMs who work with our enablement services customers. So I've seen quite a bit of gray work in my time. I'm so excited that we're doing this study, and I'm really excited to be here to speak with you a little bit about that.
Right, so let's jump in. Feel free to follow along on the live chat during, and we'll have a live Q&A at the end of the session. So the Gray Work Index, what is it? So this is the second year that we at Quickbase have run the Gray Work Index. We've surveyed over 2,000 respondents across the US, the UK, and Ireland with a mix of over 10,000 operationally complex industries. So what have we learned? Do you feel as people more productive than you did a year ago?
So let's jump into the widening productivity gap. This is the nature of the gray work challenge that we're seeing. We're spending more on tools, but we're actually being less productive. So Molly, let me pass it to you. What are you seeing and hearing from a customer perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I know this is the second year that we've done this gray work index. And for me, it's extremely validating to see the data support what we're hearing from customers that we work with, especially the new customers that are coming to Quickbase looking for a solution. Gray work really tends to pop up when the technology solutions aren't quite fitting the need for what the process needs or the business needs to get stuff done. And so the fact that this survey is really saying that even though we're increasing our investment in tools, it's harder to be productive than it was a year ago. For me, this just backs up what we're hearing and what we're seeing with our customers and ultimately trying to solve for them.
Great. So let's jump into the next big piece that we're seeing from our customers, right? The symptoms. What's really driving this? So the three biggest pieces are miscommunication, duplication of work, and then project delays. So do you have any customer examples, Molly, you'd share on any one of these three challenges?
I think honestly, when I hear about these three particularly combined, built environment comes to mind, right? These are large scale, complex projects with multiple stakeholders where when one task is scheduled to start, the task before it really needs to be done. And in any of those situations, if there is a miscommunication on the date that something's supposed to be finished or what needs to happen, if there is a duplication of work between even data entry out in the field, that can lead to really meaningful project delays that can mean a lot of money and even some push deadlines down the road in terms of what was ideally going to be accomplished as the harm in the process that was supposed to take place kind of falls through the cracks a little bit. So I wouldn't necessarily be able to speak to a specific customer, honestly, because there are so many examples, but I think especially in built environment, it's where the three of these come together and really show the pain points and the cracks when it comes to gray work.
Yeah, that's great. What I see from where I sit, it's the duplication of work really jumps out for me. Part of my role as a COO is just to try to figure out how we work better cross-functionally. And the duplication of work, we just see people with fragmented systems, whether it's Excel downloads, systems that aren't connected, that does create miscommunication, but it's that duplication of work. We're all just doing more manual work and aren't connected. So it does cause delays, but for me, it really brings people down from a morale perspective as well, because we're doing repetitive work across our organizations and aren't getting out in front of customers, driving growth, and just doing the work that we really, are set out to do every day. That's rewarding and exhilarating. Great. So let's jump into the challenges of gray work. One of the key pieces that we've talked about is how do we spend our time? 58% of the respondents spend more than 20 hours per week. That's half of a week on meaningful work that drives results. Molly, what's your thoughts on both gray work and this comment and statistic that we're seeing?
Yeah, I mean, as a human, I can relate to it, right? I think we all come into work every day wanting to do our best. We have quarterly goals, we have annual goals, and inherently, I think we know the things that are going to move the needle. And yet, every single day, without fail, some things creep in, whether it's needing to compile things in a spreadsheet or send an email. This gray work tends to get in the way of the things that we know are really going to make the difference for our business. So the fact that the data shows that we're spending our time wrong, that's not totally a surprise. But I think the fact that 58% of respondents feel like they're spending less than 20 hours per week on manual work, for me, that's a little bit of a startling statistic, half the week. I don't know how you feel about that, Steve. I know you're always thinking about optimization and the efficiency and the health of an organization. What does a statistic like that say to you?
Yeah, I mean, I jumped to the 76 are manual processes. At the end of the day, manual processes don't scale, period, right? And as we're trying to scale and grow our company, we need to get systems connected, right? So not having manual processes, that just becomes an inhibitor of our future growth, whether it's we're scaling to other countries, whether we're trying to connect cross departments, whether we're trying to focus on growth and get people more customer facing. These manual processes are holding us back from scale, and scale is everything that we're trying to go do as we double this company in the next 4 years.
Yeah, and really no one's immune for this, right? I was talking to a customer success manager on our team the other day. She works with a logistics company. They have a CEO and COO there that were estimating that they were spending 30 hours of their week on duplicative work. Now, they managed to bring that back down to 8. So imagine having 22 hours in your week back, and then imagine being the CEO or COO of a company, what you can do with that amount of time. So I think we're seeing this definitely in our work with customers. We're seeing things improve, thankfully, when we get Quickbase involved. But all throughout the organization, from folks that are maybe on the front lines of a process all the way up to the senior leadership team, I think we're all struggling with this concept of gray work and how to get it back under control.
Yeah, it's great, and the more we can do, the more we can add to meaningful work for our employees, which is a goal of everyone.
For sure.
So the next challenge, more tools, less impact. 9 out of 10 respondents report that they're overwhelmed by the amount of, software or solutions that they use on a daily basis. So what's your thoughts there?
I mean, personally, I would love to meet the 1% out of 10 that isn't feeling overwhelmed right now. I think, especially when you go back to the question of access, right? We're investing in more software, we're investing in more solutions, but I think, especially as we go from this work that maybe was a little bit more straightforward, maybe one team could own an entire process or a specific outcome. That's, I think, becoming increasingly less common when you think about dynamic work now. The fact that there are multiple stakeholders involved in the process, that things are flexible and they're changing and they're complex. When we're investing in more software, those folks might need different levels of access, and they might not all sort of be invited to the same kinds of tools. And so when you think about the fact that to run an organization, to your point, especially at scale, that we have all different kinds of users with different needs, with different tools, that to me starts to explain some of the time that our customers are spending compiling different pieces of information, assembling it, putting it all together in a format that they can share, and then getting it out to the stakeholders that are counting on the information. I know that we work with an airline company. I was talking to, again, one of our customer success managers. That customer was estimating that they were spending upwards of 80% of their time doing that kind of work of taking information between systems, compiling it, and then sharing it. With Quickbase, we have role-based dashboards. And so not only can we get all of that information in one place, but then we can customize the view that someone is seeing so that they're only getting the information that they need. So not only are you thinking about that one person that was doing all of that work, but all of the folks that are now receiving that information, they're going into a dashboard or an experience that's customized to them. And I think that really helps with the feeling of information overload that all of us have probably been experiencing these past couple years. So these 9 out of 10 people that are overwhelmed, they are not alone. But again, I think that we have an opportunity to really improve this. How are you kind of thinking about a statistic like this? Because I know you're also thinking about our tools, you're thinking about our employees. So what does this say to you?
Yeah, I mean, change is hard, right? And I think my other favorite saying is simple is hard, right? So we want to add more point solutions. And that's what you see. You see a lot of point solutions out there trying to solve some functional or some team's, need or desire or business gap, but we can't leave them fragmented and unconnected, right? So I think that's where that's what creates that gray work, right? So it's how do we connect those systems? Those systems may be doing something super valuable for a function or a team, but how do we connect those so that we can give the right access to other teams or other parts of the process that needs visibility to that? So that's what Dalen and I from our CIO spend a lot of time trying to figure out how we connect those subsets of data or those subsets of systems, through a platform lens, so that people can be more productive and see and have insight into the work that they need to go and get their job done. So that's a big piece for us. Is I don't know if we're going to eliminate a lot of these, but we surely can connect them. And that's the power of Quickbase, to be able to connect some of these systems so that we can get the insights that we need to help the business.
100%. And if I could just piggyback on something you said, change is hard and there's a people element to this, right? So we need these systems to work. And when they don't, the output can be overwhelmed. And that's something that we really work with our customers on, particularly in enablement services, change management. And how do we make sure that this experience is a good one? So I love that you're thinking about that as a senior leader, what the kind of experience of the team is, and also how do our systems either support or maybe get in the way of those folks feeling like they are doing meaningful work and maybe aren't feeling as overwhelmed.
Yeah, and I think you started to hit it, right? So like the next challenge, the third one that we'll talk about today is data's running wild, right? Now you have multiple subsystems, right? You have ingest of mobile, you have data coming everywhere, and now you have AI that's, even increasing the amount of data that organizations can see and process to make decisions. But it's, the confidence of the information is so important to be able to go make the decisions. So what's your reaction here? What do you see from customers as they struggle with data, and how do you help them?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think this, especially to me, speaks to the fact that people maybe are in different systems, right? If only 10% are extremely confident in the accuracy of that information, 90% have some doubt as to the accuracy of info at hand. To me, that means that we should be thinking about things like governance or thinking about things like access to make sure that everyone sort of feels like they're looking at the same information and they're kind of getting that single pane of glass view. I think another big piece of this, particularly with AI, is that relationship between IT and the business, right? We're all figuring out AI together in a lot of ways, and it's still really early. But one of the things that I personally think is that when the business and IT are working together to understand the power of AI and how to make sure that we're achieving results, but we're doing it in a way that's really secure. Those are the kinds of governance conversations we've been having with Quickbase customers for a long time. The solutions that we develop need to be business-led innovation, keeping up with the change of business and the innovation of our own technology. But IT needs to be that trusted partner, sort of helping us understand what those best practices are and making sure that we're in compliance with our company and our organization's policy around data. So again, just really validating here from the Gray Work Index. But I'm curious, I know you work quite a bit with Dalen, our CIO, and you have kind of thoughts on this yourself. So what does this bring to mind for you?
Yeah, I think with that might be a great place that we can wrap and close this, right? So it's like, we've talked a lot about the survey. We seem we're stalled or going backwards while we're investing in IT tools. So like, what can we do, right? Is there a path forward here? And we believe there is, right? So I think we think about it in three pieces, right? Automate your manual processes, or in some cases, just connect them, right? Just so that you can then bring up visibility and with the integrations, connect these either manual processes, automate the manual, then connect all of these processes through org-wide visibility. And no better way to do all of that with governance so that it can be IT trusted and governed, like you had said earlier. So how would you put a customer lens on either one of these pieces, or how they all come together and you think about the platform solving gray work here?
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is really where technology and process and people are working in harmony, right? And of course, I've been at Quickbase a long time, so my head sometimes starts going to features and functionality, things like Fast Field, where we have people out in the field that are now able to input data accurately on a form that works for them. Pipelines, the ability to kind of connect two systems, largely Quickbase and another system, but even within Quickbase, using that to automate tasks that used to be manual. And also that governance capability, right? Thinking about that relationship between the IT and the business and making sure that we have the functionality to make sure that our customers are making the best decisions for themselves and their organizations. So I think there's a lot to this that just resonates with me in the work that we do with our customers to try to start solving a lot of these gray work challenges. But I couldn't have said it better than how you just kind of landed on now. It needs to be business-led innovation, and it needs to be IT trusted and governed. And I think that's the way to solve a lot of our gray work challenges. So I'm thrilled again that we've done this survey for the second year in a row. I hope we continue to do it to see how these results change. But for me, with the 2024 index, really just validating information and definitely what we are hearing and seeing with our customers.
Yeah, and I love the way we have the three pieces and the way you talked about it, because I think this is a framework that everyone can think about it from. You know, where are my manual processes? How do I better connect these processes to bring up visibility, and then, you know, have that IT trusted solution that you can govern it with. So when you can combine all of those, I get confident and excited about how we can improve these survey results in the coming year as we continue to invest in IT, but our people and processes as well, so that we can get the outcomes and the output that we want. So with that, that's a wrap for us, but Molly and I are happy to stand by and take questions from the audience.